Hello and good morning. Lovely to see you all again. I am Nick.
And I'm Mindy, and today we are really excited to talk to you about this book called Family Discipleship, Leading Your Home Through Time, Moments, and Milestones by Matt Chandler and Adam Griffin. This Sunday, January 10th, Nick and I are going to be starting a book discussion with some people from the church. We would love for you to join us, and we're going to just talk a little bit about this book to kind of plug it and give you an idea of what that is. So if you're not sure if you should join or not, we're going to help you make that decision as a yes today.
So generally, I have really appreciated this book. One, because it's not very big. The chapters are pretty easily read, and at the end of each chapter, there are like these summary questions that help you think through. I was gonna try to show you some, but now I can't find any. But at the end of each chapter, there's questions that help you think through. Okay, what did I learn, and how do I really apply this to my life? How do I apply this to my family, to my situation? And I really appreciate that, because often after I read something, especially that's full of biblical truth and encouragement, I'm like, okay, what now? Well, here it is. It's pretty awesome like that.
And sometimes being a part of a discussion helps process. I know there's some of us that process individually, but there's a lot of people who process by talking it out, hearing other ideas. And so coming to a discussion about the book on a topic that's important like this, family discipleship, will help cement some of those ideas, to glean from each other and to realize we're not alone on that family discipleship journey. One thing that I really like about this book, a lot of books I've read on parenting or discipleship, most of them are parenting topics, or how to talk about this with your child, or how to go about this with your child. A lot of them feel overwhelming. There's this huge process, or, oh, if you didn't do this between the ages of 8 and 10, well, too late. I missed the boat on that one. Or I should have been talking about this. And they're all encompassing and they're passionate about their topic, but I've always felt very inadequate and overwhelmed when I've read those books. And this book did not make me feel that way at all. This book was freeing. It addressed hey, you're not going to get it all right. And hey, it's okay if you don't do this part of it or this. And so this was easier to receive because I didn't feel judged or overwhelmed. I felt empowered when I read it.
Yeah. So I want to read, I think we're each going to read a couple of sentences out of this book, just as an example of what, how it is, what it's talking about, and how I think encouraging and hopeful it can be. So this is from pretty early on in the book. And it says, "It is far too easy to raise a Pharisee, a child who knows and follows the rules of God, but whose heart is far from him. We want our kids to be obedient to God, not because they are intimidated by him or by us, but because they genuinely love obedience and they trust God for who he is and his love for us." And I cannot tell you, as I've been working with students a long time now, how many conversations I've had with students that jump ship on their faith because it's based on following rules and trying to be a good Christian instead of actually knowing God, trusting him and who he is.
Yeah, sometimes we think of discipleship as raising good citizens or good people, and that's not at all what God calls us to do. Here's another quote. This is from early on too. "One of the grandest of the responsibilities is the call to all parents to be disciple makers in their own homes. A disciple maker is a follower of Christ helping others follow Christ. No matter what your household looks like, your family is the primary instrument and environment for discipleship in all the fantastic and flawed ways that it might be worked out. Your persevering and often thankless spiritual leadership in your home is one of the most important things you will ever do in your life." So it's trying to breathe life, encourage you, yeah, this is hard, and it's hard to mold hearts. It's a lot easier to mold behavior for a little while.
It is. Well, we can control behavior to some degree, but in a sense, God doesn't call us to change the hearts of our kids or the people around us. He calls us to point them towards truth, and He's who's going to change hearts. And I think that's what this book really encourages us in.
Yeah, and so this book isn't like a step 1 do this, step 2 do this, step 3 do this. It's a framework to develop a culture of discipleship in your house, which takes time, but is really freeing when it's not like, oh, I have to do step 1, 2, and 3 every day. Oh, I missed step 2 today. I blew it. No, it's
Right.
about a big framework that lets everybody's skills and I realized it when I was reading. I was like, oh, I'm good at this part, but Patrick's good at this part. So together, or like, oh, neither of us are really good at this part. So, hey, Grandma, come on, like help us out here. Like you can find where you need support and where you need help based on the framework and your personality and how it can work together.
Yeah. So we would love to encourage you that a lot of times it can feel really overwhelming, the whole idea, because like Mindy said earlier, we can feel inadequate and like we don't have enough time to, the idea of discipling my family is awesome, but I don't have an hour every day to sit down with my family and like lead a Bible study. And again, like Mindy said, that's not what this is about. It's really more about creating a culture within your family that is trusting God and looking towards truth and who He is, rather than this regimented outline of what you have to do to disciple your family well.
Right. So if you think, oh, my kids are too old, or my kids are grown and I have grandparents, like this book isn't for me. Wrong. Like it is, because you're still discipling your children, no matter how old they are. And you are tasked with generations. So you have grandchildren to encourage. So too old, nope. You can still learn from it. No time, nope. Overwhelming, nope. It's just starting little steps. It talks about that. And feeling inadequate, don't let that stop you from coming, because we are all absolutely inadequate. We can't do it on our own, and we're not the ones who are going to change our kids' hearts. It's going to be God changing their hearts. So yeah, we are all inadequate. So come anyway.
Yeah.
So Sundays, the next 5 Sundays, 9 a.m. we're going to meet in the hub. Come. If you don't have a copy of the book, we have some that you can get. You can also get it on Kindle. But we would love to see you on Sundays at 9.
We sure would. Have a great Wednesday.